Yeah, I remember when I was like 9 years old or 10 years old. I was like, well, now all I have to do is tell them what I did. Anyway, because when I was a child, I was like, well, now all I have to do is tell the world what I did, and I went about that a certain way, basically, um, pretty much. And so, anyway, like I said in my last video, I don't really have to be psycho. I didn't have to be like I was an inventor. I was a builder. I was a creator. Creator of particle matter, creator, although it's hard to imagine, but I was a creator of part of the particle matter. Although how much so and whatever, like it's like, it was so long ago, I can't even remember what it was like to tell you the truth. It was almost like being a different person, and the particle physics, and then also like the sun stuff, and then cooling down of the earth and stuff like that. Like it's almost like I was a different person and way out of focus. And like I said before, Jimmy Carter and Richard Nixon and a bunch of other people were more public than I was. So, being an inventor and a leader and an owner of companies, you kind of get lost in the mix, you might say. And, technically, anyway, technically even that's a different life for me than anything else because like it's it's trillions of years, and technically I was technically a different kind of life form, artificial intelligence computer pretty much. Anyway, and it was very interesting actually being a computer. It's not comparable to being a person, not at all. And there's a lot of people that will fake it and say that they are, but I mean, like I said, I'm Lucifer, a star. And it's funny. People even said, "Well, Lucifer Star he's not real. He's not true." It's like, yeah, I am. Pretty sure. Pinch. Yeah, I'm real. Anyway, I mean, I just didn't talk about it very much, and I always wondered why people didn't ever ask me about who I had been or anything else like that. It's like, why don't you ask me about anything? It's like, I was, but and Rodney and Rosalie are always going, "You're crazy, you're crazy." It's like, well, then why is there a battleship named Rodney? And why is there a car named Rosalie? The HMS Rodney. And there was actually a ship called the HMS Rosella, or SS Rosella. That's right, SS Rosella. Rosella. LA. It's the SS Rosella. And it was a female name, but back then they said, "Oh, it's superstitious. You can't have a female name on a ship." And it's like, why not? So they named it like some Duke or whatever. And realistically, I found out later on, well, they hijacked it and stole it, and that's why they painted. And before they left, they just painted the name over it, or blacked it out and then painted the name over it. And they actually had taken the crew hostage or something. I don't really know. Anyway. And they ran away with the ship, and that's why they ran into the giant storm, because they were trying to outrun my ship. I had two other older sailing vessels that didn't have communication, but they knew which ship they were looking for, because after the ship had left, like somebody had found out, or they'd realized it, or something, or we sent a communication to the ship, but they didn't respond, so we sent a communication to the dockyard, or to the shipyard. And they realized, and they said, "Well, they already left." And I was like, "Well," or somebody was like, "Well, they were supposed to to contact back in," or something like that. We had a new procedure or something like that. I forget the details of it, of course. But and that's something Nixon would say. I forget the details. Like, you said 3 words. You didn't really say any details. Anyway, so there's some reason why we knew that they had run off with the ship. And so I actually sent those other 2 ships were actually going out there to track them down, and that's why they were running into the storm. And my ships pulled back because like, well, we'll figure it out later on. My ships, like I said, I had more. My 2 captains on the other 2 ships were seasoned captains and knew how to handle a storm, and they're much better ships. They're not the paddle wheel ship is really actually. I think it's actually. It's not really made for ocean voyage. It's like made for staying near the land or whatever. And as soon as they saw the storm, they should have turned around and head back in. But I think, like I said, they had hijacked the ship, so they were running for it and running out into deeper water or something. I think someone said they were running out into deeper water. They should have stayed. If they had stayed by the coast, they would have been fine or something. Anyway, I don't really know. Maybe they were worried about getting wrecked, and it's like, well, I don't really care about that. I mean, we'll fix it later, you know. Anyway, I don't really know exactly the details of it. And I think somebody said they were dumping out the gold or something, or they dumped out gold or something somewhere else. I don't really know. Probably lost, but like they pulled in thing and they dumped a bunch off, and then went back out, or was dumping a bunch of gold off or something like that. Not that would really help. I don't really know about the details of it, like I say. But where was I going with this? But I mean, there's a lot of things that I experienced that I knew about. I mean, I was more or less, you know, the overseer, and basically, you know, more or less restricted a lot. You know, like I said, they tried to use the council against me and like a bunch of other people. That's another reason why they wanted me dead by 9 years old so badly, because and some of the people, some other people in the government were like, well, he's going to start nuking people. He's going to go crazy. And it's like, well, they mostly did the nuking, and they mostly did the carpet bombing of the actual people when it actually did happen. And I think it was actually, they were actually doing it through Africa, or that they had the Africans doing it, or saying that they would back the Africans, or they'd back this group or that group, and then they weren't able to back them or something like that. Somewhat maybe, but not in the long term. Like I said, it was all a short-term con, or a short-term thing. And if I lived and told my story, and even then, even if I didn't live and tell my story, I still was the reality of the situation. They're basically just people playing the stock market or lying, and not much more different than just going to the. Basically, it's the same as going to the to Fort Knox or the printing press, and just running yourself off like the big stack of bills. That's pretty much as complicated as it was, pretty much. You know, like I said, they started out with the small printer, and then they sold the big printer or something like that. And I was going to have the big printer moved anyway. So, you know, because, I mean, it's kind of silly for me to be in the U.S. and have the U.S. government or American government, you know, and have the printing press in Germany. Because it's like, well, I'm in the United States. And mostly I had the printing press over there because, you know, I was keeping everything accounted right. You know, they would run up. You know, I was just paying the payroll of everyone, so they would just run off payroll amounts basically. You know, when the books, and somebody was like, "Well, we need 500 million more," and it's like, no, send my accountants the books, and we'll see if you can get 500 million more. If you can account for it, then okay. But they were like, well, we need 500 million more. Wow, we need you to run off these bills. And it's like, no, and I don't do that. Talk to my accountant, and no, you're going to have a proper accounting for that. I need to see the payroll sheets and stuff, or my accountants need to see the payroll sheets for that. I'm not just going to give you money for nothing. So anyway, you know, and they were just trying to get one past me or past someone, you know, and that's another reason why they say they attacked Germany, was to basically just get rid of those payroll sheets and all that other stuff, because they were trying to do this whole coup and everything. And it's like, well, it would be a big coup because I own 150,000 companies and 800 galaxies, and that's a hell of a coup. You know, it's a hell of a thing to take over 800 galaxies all at the same time. Anyway, so that's another thing, is they tried to do my will and be like, well, yeah, I get Pluto or whatever. I think Nixon wanted Pluto. It's like, there's no Pluto, is there? Actually, there is, but I think you had a dog named Pluto or something. Anyway, a lot of people thought it was just a small time, like, on Earth empire. It's like, no, actually, it's stars and planets and 800 galaxies. That's what my total wealth actually amounts to. So it's a little bit it's just a bit bigger than just one planet or just one country. So, I mean, yeah, 800 galaxies, and at least I created 3,000. So, but it's like, who's counting? You know, it's like, well, you know, and I actually did lose count.